before discuss about callable interface, let's first see what the issue we have in our runnable interface. It is not an issue, but one thing is missing in runnable interface. Let's try to understand by give an example. Let's try to send an email by using thread class. Let's first define our client email ID. Now create a thread class. And again we are going to use lambda expression to create thread. Before that we have to also create an object of our email sender. Now call the send method of our email object, and now we have to pass email ID. Now start the thread. Let's run the program and check the output. So we can see that email has been delivered successfully. Now let's imagine we have some network issue, or somehow SMTP server is not able to deliver the email, or we have some typo mistake. For an example, let's say that we forget to add this @ symbol. Now we can see that the email ID is wrong. So now try to execute this program and check what kind of output we have in our console. Now it's saying that invalid email address, obviously because we didn't add that @ symbol in our email ID. So the email is undelivered. So is there any way to check if the email has been delivered successfully or not? So we can see the result in console, but we cannot check if the email is delivered or not in our program. Basically it's run the program and just forget. What is the result that we have in our execution method? We don't have any idea. That's mean it's not returning any kind of value. Runnable thread or thread doesn't provide any return value. For that reason, there is no way to determine if the email has been delivered or not. To overcome that issue, we can implement callable. That is the main purpose of using callable. So by using callable, we can get the result that we have run inside a method. So now let's start to implement this program using Callable Interface. So what are the advantages that we have using Callable Interface compared to Runnable Interface or thread class? First, return value. The Callable Interface allow a thread to return a value upon completing of its tasks, which can be accessed through a future object. So Callable Interface always return future object. In contrast, thread class do not provide a way to return values from a thread that we have already seen in our previous code example. Exception handling. The Callable Interface allow the call method to throw a checked exception which can be handled by the calling code. We have seen that in Runnable Interface or in thread class, we don't have any check exception implementation. If something is going wrong, there is no way to check the error in our code. In contrast, the run method in the Runnable Interface and thread class cannot throw a checked exception directly, and unhandled exception can cause the application to crash. Point 3. Generic. The Callable Interface is a generic interface which allow for type safety and better code readability. So if you want to implement Callable Interface, then we have to provide a class as it is a generic interface. As a result, we can assign any kind of object or any kind of class to get the appropriate value. In contrast, the runnable interface and thread class are not generic, which can lead to type related error and code that is harder to read. Point 4. Better control over execution. The feature object returned by a callable can be used to control the execution of the tasks. For example, you can cancel the tasks, wait for the tasks to complete, or set an amount for the tasks. In later point of the time, when we will discuss about concurrency, I will show you how we can control the execution of callable thread by using various methods. This level of control is not available in the runnable interface or thread class. Now let's implement this callable interface in our code.